All right, happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome on into the Raiderland World Headquarters. We got a lot of stuff to get to tonight. Texas Tech run-ruling Abilene Christian, the final home game of the year for the Red Raider baseball team. It's Tuesday's Best, brought to you by Kyle Rogers, our realtor in Raiderland there at Remax Realty. You only need to make one call when you're buying or selling a home, but you got to make two calls on Tuesday's Best. We want two books every graduate should read, high school or college, and then Major League Baseball reinstating Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe and a scad of 1919 Black Sox players, reinstating them. No more lifetime ban. Now, most of them have been dead for a long time. Pete Rose most recently. Do you agree or not agree? And then whatever else is on your mind tonight. So we want you to get in tonight on the broadcast. Thanks to United Supermarkets at Market Street. Jump in. Your thoughts, your comments, and everything else. Let's do it tonight in three, in two. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, theraiderland.com, where you start your day on the website. Coming in tonight, brought to you by The Reserve, a culinary tavern in Lubbock. They're at 103rd and Quaker. Our man Nick, he used to run and operate and own Nick's Sports Grill and Lounge. Well, he moved it down the street. He changed things up, has created an awesome menu, great atmosphere. It's not a sports bar, but they do show the games there. And if you're looking for a fantastic Saturday and Sunday brunch, they've got it. So check out The Reserve. Drop in. I'm just saying right now, I can have their onion rings for a meal. And in fact, did on Saturday night. They're that good. If you loved the old onion rings at the Brittany back in the day, these are that good. That's high praise. Also by South Plains College in Levelland, the road to Raiderland runs through Levelland. A lot of great Red Raiders started off as great Texans. They've got over 100 majors to choose from there in Levelland at South Plains College. Find out if it's right for you, and if you're looking to do some continuing ed, I mean, maybe you just want to take a cooking class with your husband or wife. They can do that at South Plains College. So we thank them for being a part of Raiderland. They're a huge part of everything that goes on here in West Texas and on the South Plains. All right, let's get it going. You guys are getting in. Craig, the first one on Facebook. The Talking Box indeed is on. And we'll go as long as our voice is, able to go tonight. I can't tell anymore. My allergies are so bad. I may actually have a head cold, and I just don't even know. But get on the United Supermarkets and Market Street chat line. They took care of you for Mother's Day. We got graduation coming up, so they get all those cards, flowers, and everything you need. If you're cooking out for the graduates this weekend, they have everything ready to go for you at your local Market Street location. Remember, United Supermarkets, they put their name on stuff at Texas Tech. There's another supermarket around here that puts their name on a school not in Lubbock. Just thought I'd mention that. So, where do you want to start tonight? Books that all graduates should read, whether it's high school or college. Did you get books when you graduated? Did you get anything cool? What did you wish you had read when you were 18 or 22 or 23 years old? Which books would be on that list that you would say, all right, now that your education is complete, your education really starts now. Read this book. What would it be? What would you give them? And then just the nuts and bolts of sports today. The final home game for Texas Tech baseball. They beat ACU 16-4. Run-rule them in 8 innings. Robin Villeneuve, if this was his final game in a Tech uniform, he went out in style with 3 home runs and 7 RBI. David Bravo right behind him with a home run, 4 hits, and another 4 RBI on the day. And they pounded, and pounded ACU pitching there with the wind. It was whipping out pretty good at Danlaw Field. It was a traditional Danlaw Field day, where if you don't like pitching in the wind, if you are a fly ball pitcher, if you don't keep the ball down in the zone, or if it plays games with your mind, you're probably not going to like pitching there. And you could tell some of the pitchers today didn't like pitching at Danlaw Field. Nothing changes for Tech baseball. It's still 4 days in May. That's the hashtag next week. They've got to go to BYU Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Remember, BYU doesn't play on Sundays, so it's a little bit of a compressed weekend. And Tim Tadlock will be setting up the pitching and setting up everything for the Big 12 tournament. You can win 1 game, you can win 3 games at BYU. It doesn't matter. You got to go win 4 games at the Big 12 tournament. It's single elimination this year, or your season's over. that when you go to Arlington, you lose, you're done. That's it. So everything between now and then in this BYU series is about, okay, how can we structure this thing next week to try to get through it? It actually helps you, in my opinion, that you are playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as opposed to the teams that will have a game on Sunday that have to come back on a Wednesday. That you're catching a break by not playing on Sunday, so that's going to help. Now, it's still highly improbable that this team can go to Arlington and run the table. I've seen crazier things, but not many crazier things. Maybe back in 1994 or 5, the Lady Raiders hosted Missouri in the NCAA tournament first round in Lubbock. It was a Missouri team that went to Salina, Kansas, finished last in the Big 8 and won the tournament. And they got shipped to Texas Tech, who was a number 2 seed, I think, that year. I don't think the Lady Raiders were a 1 seed. I think they were a 2. But, I mean, so weird stuff happens. It does help that it's single elimination big time. All right, get in your comments, your questions, everything else tonight. Glad you're with us. Tuesday's Best, 2 books that you would say that a high school or a college graduate ought to read. What would you put on the reading list? Texas Tech baseball. And then the biggest news today in the national sports world, Rob Manfred, Major League Baseball commissioner, reinstating almost all the members of the 1919 Chicago White Sox team. If you know, 8 men out, and the Black Sox scandal and everything else, most notably Shoeless Joe Jackson, a team that was compromised by gamblers at the time, that they were running scared, and some of them, I mean, yeah, guys took money. If you can prove that Shoeless Joe Jackson threw any games, have at it. But a different era, a different time. And then at the time, Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis was brought in to clean up baseball, and he summarily banned everybody for life. Pete Rose, you know the story. If he had just come clean, I think 20-something years ago, he would have been reinstated. But this was the last payback of all the people in Major League Baseball that didn't like Pete Rose and say, all right, you're dead now. Okay, we'll reinstate you. Do you agree with the move or not by Major League Baseball? Should they have done this? They did. And now that they've done this, should the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Professional Baseball Hall of Fame, is not run by Major League Baseball. Now, they have taken their cue of not including people on the ballot who were banned by Major League Baseball. So should the Professional Baseball Hall of Fame and the electors, the ballotors, should they put Shoeless Joe? Ed Seacott would be in the Hall of Fame. There's maybe 1 or 2 others on that White Sox team that maybe you could make a case for, although their careers were truncated, obviously. And then Pete Rose. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? I've said for 30 years that Pete Rose, the player, should be in the Hall of Fame. And you can put a note in there and say, hey, he was banned by baseball for betting on baseball. Broke the rules. Manager, Pete Rose, after that, okay, do what you want to do. But I also believe that Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. Pudge Rodriguez, fill in the blank. The steroid era guys, put them in and say, yeah, they played in the steroid era. This is what we got. This is who they are. Craig says Pete Rose should have always been in the Hall of Fame as a player. I agree with that. We used to, it was, by the way, back in the olden days of the Williams and Hyatt show with me and Don Williams, going back to the summer of 94, 95, and throughout the years, that the Pete Rose debate and the designated hitter debate, which both have been kind of, swallowed up by history now and everything else. But we would just, instead of doing that all summer long and just bringing it up, we reserved 1 day a year. June 17th was Pete Rose Day and designated hitter day on the old Williams and Hyatt show. And that was the 1 day of the year that Don and I would debate. Now, Don hated Pete Rose, still hates Pete Rose, doesn't want Rose in the Hall of Fame, thinks Rose was a selfish player, that it was all about Pete Rose. He hates Pete Rose. Pete Rose was one of my heroes growing up in the 70s and 80s. So we differed on that, and I believe that Pete Rose should have been in the Hall of Fame. And then on the DH, I think we moderately agreed for the most part that I hate the DH, and I wish neither league would have it. And of course, I've lost that to history over the years, and now everybody's got the DH. Yes, I liked pitchers hitting and bunting. Sue me. Chris, he can be eligible, but I don't see those writers putting in Rose anytime soon. I don't know. So the first thing, and they love doing this on the first ballot type deal, that not letting you in, right? So the first time he's eligible, they probably don't put Pete Rose in. Now, surely Shoeless Joe, I don't know. Who knows? Whether are they holding it against Shoeless Joe? But I could see the first year that Rose is eligible that he doesn't get in. I would hope the second year. The man's dead. So what message are you trying to send? Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Hall of Fame voters, and they're a bunch of idiots. I forget that. Personally, I think they should let them all in, including the steroid era players. I agree with that. It is the Hall of Fame. Fame is short for famous. Famous people. Famous people do dumb things, bad things. The game of baseball over 100 plus years has had different eras, different, codes of conduct. That if we start throwing out all the scumbags, I guess you got to go Ty Cobb. You can't get in by today's metrics and by today's moral standards and everything else. I mean, you guys know you guys understand. You know what I'm talking about. So I think if you're going to have a Hall of Fame, and really, it's kind of funny now because halls of fame are dying. Nobody goes to them anymore. They're not a deal. They're not a thing. They're not a destination. Pro Football Hall of Fame, not a destination. People don't go. College Football Hall of Fame, half the people don't know where it is. And it recently moved, I believe. You couldn't even get the College Baseball Hall of Fame started here in Lubbock, and they barely do anything with it in Omaha. That actual halls of fame are anachronistic, an archaic part of our past. It's only people like us that kind of debate those things and go, oh, is a Hall of Famer or not? Chris, there is also much evidence that Shoeless Joe didn't throw any games. If he did a horrible job throwing them by hitting so well and playing so well. Did he take money? Yeah. The guys took money. They're also scared they were going to get killed by gamblers. W5. We are just. W5. This is a coded cry for help from Robert. Everybody flock to his aid. Baseball on your mind. We got it. Tuesday's best 2 books that every graduate should read. I'm rereading a book written by Keith Ferrazzi called Never Eat Alone. If you've never read it, you need to. If you are a young, up-and-coming entrepreneur or just trying to get involved in any aspect of business or life, or it doesn't matter, whatever it is. But the book's called Never Eat Alone. The first one came out around 2000. About 12 years later, he wrote an updated version. They're both very good. That would be one, and it's about connections. It's about networking. It's about the idea of building relationships through business and friendship that help you throughout your life, that sustain you throughout your life. Over the years, the term networking became kind of like a negative type deal. The smarmy guy handing out business cards at your local Chamber of Commerce event. You know who they are. You know who the guy is. Herb Tarlick. That guy. But Never Eat Alone is a really good one. Oh, I knew somebody was going to do it, so I didn't do it. Yeah. Shadona Reed is the Bible. They should read that before they graduate. They should read that well before they graduate. Now, it's never too late to read it. But again, I would submit that should take place well before you graduate high school or college. But I knew somebody was going to do it. They always do, so I didn't want to take it away from anybody. Craig, you came through. I appreciate it. Oh, be back. Two books that every graduate should read. What would you suggest? Biographies are good. Historical books, business books. What would you read? What would you give them? You tell them to pay attention to. Certainly not Jim Cramer on CNBC. We have Tech baseball today, winning big. ACU, the final home game for the Red Raiders this year, and well, we'll wait and see what Tech baseball looks like this time next week. Well, this time next week they'll be going to the Big 12 tournament. So 10 days from now, there's going to be a lot of I think questions that need to be asked and answered. We'll do the autopsy on the season. We'll take a deep look at the program, where it is right now, what is working, what is not working, why is it working, why is it not working, and all those things are going to have to be asked. If you're with us on Twitter, you can jump in, get your questions or comments posted there. Thanks to our good friends at Market Street United Supermarkets. Our friends on YouTube, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, we're glad you're out there. You can share that. You can expand the conversation. You go from there. And then also our Facebook page, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland. Subscribe to all of them, please. They're all free. Help grow it, share it, and everything else. Roberto, we are not perfect beings. Fact. Pete is more than deserving to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Did the crime, did the time, in my opinion. Certainly, I think more than enough punished. I agree with those who say he should be in the Hall of Fame. I thought he should have been in the Hall of Fame before. We'll see. And again, I think the Baseball Hall of Fame, some people lose sight that that's not controlled by Major League Baseball. It's a separate entity from Major League Baseball. They have over the years, though, taken their cue from Major League Baseball. Other things that were in the news, the NBA draft lottery last night, and somehow your Dallas Mavericks get the number one pick, presumptively taking Cooper Flagg out of Duke. All of this after trading away Luka Doncic to the Lakers, and immediately last night, I mean, the Mavericks only had like 0.18 chance of getting the number one pick the way they do the lottery. And magically, they got the number one pick. And immediately people are like, this thing's rigged, right? I'm so hesitant to say that major sports are rigged, that outcomes are predetermined. Now, NBA leaves themselves open to this because we don't get to see the ping pong draw. We don't get to see everything else. They just announce the results. Now it is cloaked behind an accounting firm. Okay, yeah, great. We still don't know. Would a league manipulate the draft structure? Almost everybody believes that happened when the Knicks got Patrick Ewing back in the 1980s. Almost everybody believes, and that was the cold envelope story for those who don't remember, that the commissioner reached in and fished around and found the cold envelope that had been in the freezer and pulled that out, and magically it was the Knicks who were able to get Patrick Ewing out of Georgetown. I can see a league maybe manipulating that type of outcome versus a game outcome. Maybe. Either way, the Mavericks going to end up with Cooper Flagg. Now the question becomes, is Cooper Flagg going to be the savior of the Mavericks? Or is he just a guy who comes in and you go, hey, he still ain't no Luka Doncic? Wendy text, and I believe that would be Tech Baseball needs to address the 800-pound gorilla in the room, NIL. So the 900-pound gorilla, which is NIL, are they not using NIL enough? Does Tim Tadlock not like you NIL? The last 2 years, they've done more in the transfer portal. The question becomes, okay, what is the question regarding NIL? I think the two biggest things that have changed over the last 5 years since Texas Tech last went to the College World Series, and you go back, it's 2 years since they were playing at Florida in the regionals. 3 years, no, 2 years. Hold on, I'm going to talk myself out of this real quick. Didn't make the tournament last year. Florida the year before that was at Georgia Southern, and then home Super Regional Stanford. I think that's how we play that. So the question becomes, what is the problem with NIL? What is the problem with the transfer portal? How is that affecting Texas Tech? Does Tech not have enough money? Are they not using the money wisely? Are they not embracing it? That's a question that's going to have to be asked going forward here in about 10 days or so, most likely. He's David Carter. He works on TV, except for today. How'd that work out for the Knicks? It didn't, because they were the Knicks, man. But they had Patrick Ewing and, had some nice battles against the Bulls in the early 90s. Couldn't get past the Pistons in the late 80s. Celtics still hanging on in the late 80s. The emerging Bulls. But they delivered Patrick Ewing to the major media market. Was Larry O'Brien still the commissioner then? Or was it David Stern? Would have been 84, summer of 84. I want to say it's Larry O'Brien. Hey, I'm not saying the NBA is good at fixing things and cheating. I didn't say that. It's totally different. I have a hard time, though, still believing. I mean, is it possible that they could fix and orchestrate that outcome to the Mavericks? My question would be why, because every time the Mavericks have been deep in the playoffs or in the NBA Finals, all we heard was people whining about Dallas being in the finals and how it's bad for the NBA. So why would they, with the pay, and a lot of people are saying, well, the payoff for trading Luka Doncic to a major market in LA, that this was a payoff, and hey, don't worry, we'll get you the number one pick. God, that seems so elaborate. I just have a hard time going down that road, but it's the NBA. Anything is possible. Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe, a lot of the Chicago Black Sox of 1919 reinstated in baseball today. Do you agree with that? I think everybody agrees with it. Or the worst case scenario here, maybe for Major League Baseball, is not that people agree or disagree, that they just don't care. That baseball has fallen so far down the list of professional sports passion for most Americans that they just don't care. Yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, Pete Rose. Well, that'll be good. Can't wait to see him on TV. Oh, he's dead? Oh, well, that's a bummer. Well, maybe Joe will be able to buy some. That baseball has fallen so far down the sporting spectrum, Major League Baseball. The bigger issue may be that nobody cares. Texas Tech baseball today. I want to go back real quick and look at some of the pitching lines on this one today. Wind was blowing out. Imagine that. The wind was blowing out. Mohan went 2 2/3. I think they probably had a little bit of a pitch count on him. Either way, he goes 2 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs. They were both earned. 2 strikeouts, and he gave up a big fly, facing 13 batters on 44 pitches. They know they've got to have him next week. It's today, Tuesday. You could maybe bring him back Saturday a little bit at BYU and position him for next week. Trenton Parrish gets his first win of the year. If I told you that back in February, that the first win of the year for Trenton Parrish was going to be on the last home game, you would have been like, my gosh, how hurt was he? 2 innings pitched. Zach Erdman, an inning and a third. Inning for Jordan and an inning for Rogers today. But the big story at the plate, Logan Hughes, a 3 RBI day, doing what he does. He gets himself a home run. Damian Bravo, 4 hits, a home run, and 4 RBI. But it was Robin Villeneuve. Hopefully we, get to see more of him. The 7 RBI, 3 hit, 3 home run day. That was old school stuff, by the way. Wind blowing out, get your 3 jacks, call it a day. Everybody feels good about it. All right, last chance to get in questions, comments tonight. 2 books must read for graduates. You tell us which books you would have high school or college graduates read. Rose, Shoeless Joe, Reinstated, Tech Baseball. We did get into Bill Belichick today, maybe tomorrow, about the legacy that he continues to give away. That if he had just, when Tom Brady left, if maybe he coached one more year and then retired, and then just quietly went and dated a 24-year-old. But how much legacy is he giving away right now that we're going to look at him completely different than if he had merely retired, called it a career? What was it, 7? I lost track. Was it 7? Super Bowl title? Hell, I can't remember now. But now the final images of Belichick are going to be of kind of a clown show. Kind of a clown show. And going to North Carolina, where I would say it's 50-50 that he ever coaches a game at North Carolina. Have we seen anybody give back more credibility than Bill Belichick over the last couple of years? It's okay, though. He's the smartest guy in the room. He always told you he was the smartest guy in the room, and I truly have zero sympathy for him if this is the way it turns out for Bill Belichick. It's all him. It's all Bill Belichick. He's smarter than you. He outthinks you. He's just better than you. Just ask. Maybe do some of that tomorrow. Oh, and there's a new podcast starting here in a week or two. Northern Disclosure. Very fired up about this. About the TV show Northern Exposure. So Janine Turner and Rob Morrow are going to host a look back on every episode. I don't know if this is going to be weekly or every other week or whatever, but they're going to go back and review every episode, like 110 episodes of Northern Exposure with co-stars and other guests and different people. I'm here for it. Northern Exposure, one of the most underrated TV shows of all time. Great writing, fantastic stuff. It's called Northern Disclosure. And yeah, I'll be knee-deep in that. Again, probably my favorite, one of my last favorite, like, regular TV shows that I watched. All right, you guys are the best. We enjoyed the time we spend with you. You can continue commenting tonight on our webpage, theraiderland.com, in the comments. You can get us on our Facebook page for Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland or wherever else. You can hit us on Twitter at Ryan Hyatt Media. I want to get some more books, 2 must-read books for college graduates. So just because the show ends doesn't mean that the conversation stops. The conversation continues on in many different forms or fashion. We'll be with you in the morning at theraiderland.com. It will be, what is tomorrow? Wednesday. It's What If Wednesday, a little alt history coming your way tomorrow. We'll ask a big what if question. I can't decide right now whether it's going to be sports related or not. He would be on TV tonight, but he's not. That's David Collier from KMAC 28 jumping in. So when he's back on TV, you can watch him on TV and stuff. All right, y'all are the best. Thanks to our great sponsors, The Reserve, a culinary tavern in Lubbock, United Supermarkets on the chat line, and South Plains College over in Levelland. We'll see you in the morning at theraiderland.com.